What's shaking? Welcome back to All In. I'm your host, Rick Jordan. I'm happy you're here with me today because today we're going to talk about your level 10 opportunity and when that decides to stroll into your life and what big of a difference it can make in your business and what you're looking to do and what to do in the meantime. Before we dive in, I want to ask you to please share this out with 3 people as you listen to the show and as you're like, oh, this person needs to hear this, that person needs to hear this, my buddy over here needs this part right here, because we don't take promotions, sponsorships, nothing. We just impact more people with your help. Now today, all right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and a story that I used to think of, because now I have a public company, right? Just filed not too long ago, IPO coming up soon. And I used to think, believe it or not, man, I want to get out of this IT thing because I wish I had something. As I was looking at all these Instagram people and all these friends of mine that had like these B2C products and other things in coaching that were high ticket items, and looking, it's like, you know what? I'm a little bored with this now. And this was just about 3 years ago. I'm a little bored with this now because I don't feel like having a managed service provider actually has a lot of reach into a lot of people. Can you imagine that? You're right. This was right at the time when I started to really do some hardcore work on myself and personal growth, is when I thought, man, I think I need to change industries. Because I don't want to, I felt stagnant. I didn't feel like I was in the position where I wanted to be as far as growth and acceleration and momentum. I just felt like I was stuck in this spot in business. And I guess really more so in life. You know, so maybe it's more like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Because around 3 years ago is when I actually started doing this work on myself. But as I started to look at this, and take a look around me, right? I just started pursuing things and started leveling up in some areas and trying to figure out, hey, what is this, right? And I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase, like a level 10 opportunity, meaning like that's the thing. And I kept searching for the thing. I kept trying to look for and find the whatever I could possibly be, to be like, oh, I could churn this thing out 1,000,000 times with some social ads, not a product, but a service, or I could go out, I can host an event with 1,000 people, and then I can impact a whole bunch of them too, and actually make, $1.5 million on one single event in a weekend. I kept looking for all these things that were just like these quick fixes that had nothing to do with where I was at right now. Now, even though I look back and I had so many learnings from all these things in this research, and I actually got a lot of things out there, but in the meantime, I didn't even realize it, right? But in the meantime, I was still doing what I was doing every day. Still at the company, I had good people that were running the operations for it, and this thing was still just chugging along and actually still growing because I still had some purpose and some attention to it. It was actually kind of cool. But I saw what I was doing at the moment, right? The IT help and managed service provider stuff is like a level 1 opportunity. It's like, we only, even though we do several $1 million a year, still have X amount of clients. It was like, yeah, that's cool. So there's like clients. So there's like things we do. So there's revenue that we get, but this doesn't seem like the big thing. This doesn't seem like a level 10 thing. It's just we're helping people with networks. Cool. We're removing viruses. We're saving people from ransomware. We're saving businesses. One time it was like $75 million in one shot. And I was like, okay, that's all great and everything. And I started to realize something just recently as I started looking back. And during that time, that period, what I was doing was honing my skill set. And I actually had no idea at that moment what it was for. Because being the CEO of a public company, I really, the only reason that opportunity even presented itself to begin with is because of the things that I was doing, like doing media appearances, starting this podcast right here, leveling up in all these different areas that I didn't have the skill set in yet. And then all of a sudden the opportunity came in front of me, almost as if it was out of nowhere, but it wasn't actually really out of nowhere. It was when everything was lined up for me is when this decided to show up. And that was the level 10 opportunity, was to create this public company and do a roll-up of MSPs over the next 2 years of at least 50 managed service provider acquisitions. Because A level 10 opportunity is a combination of skill set and opportunity. A level 10 scenario in your life is a combination of skill set and opportunity. And the thing that you have to understand is that what I didn't even understand until just a few months ago, looking back, is while you're waiting for that level 10, you keep trying all these level 1 opportunities. I never did nationwide global media like Reuters or Bloomberg or whatever until I did, freaking Albuquerque, New Mexico. Or I went on Roanoke, Virginia on ABC, this small little network in this town, right? Or I went to, I don't even remember some of the small locations that I went to, these things. But there's no way that global media would have taken me on if I didn't do the local media first. There's no way that I could have launched a public company if I didn't have a tiny little managed service provider private company, this tiny little private MSP first. And while I was doing this, I was honing my skill sets over this period of a couple of years to where now when I was ready to, the opportunity happened, and there you have it. It's level 10. But you have to keep trying your level 1 opportunities until the level 10 shows up. That's how you create momentum. That's how you build your skill set. That's how you get ready and tell the world that you're ready, or whatever is supposed to come at you in life, in your business, to say, I'm ready. And all those things will start to show up when that happens. So as I look back over the last 3 to 4 years, I never knew that I was actually in the midst of doing something great. And that's because when you are in the midst of doing something great, it's never going to feel like it while you're doing it, while you're in the middle of it, while you're chugging along on those level 1 opportunities. It's not going to feel like it. It's going to feel like you're stuck. It's going to feel like you're not growing at the pace you want to grow at. It's going to feel like you've plateaued. But as long as you use those to continue to hone your skill sets, that opportunity to create that level 10 formula of skill set and opportunity will show up. As long as you keep going and don't neglect. Remember how I was saying that I still put effort into my business. I still put effort into my MSP during that time period while I was doing all these other things and honing my skill set in this public figure arena, doing media, writing a book, starting a podcast, all these things, all these level 1 opportunities. This show's top 20 in several countries now. That's right, countries, several around the world. But it didn't start there at launch. It didn't start there at episode 10. It didn't start there when we got to episode 50. It took time to build that up until we're at like episode 200 right now, over the last 2.5 years. It takes time, and I never felt like I was in the midst of doing something great while I was doing it. It'll never feel that way. When it'll feel that way is when you can look back, when you have those momentous occasions in your life and be like, wow, how did I get here? And then you start to recall, oh, I did this, I did that, I did this. And during that time period, I never neglected. I always still paid attention to put my resources and energy into those level 1s as I continued down that path to hone my skill sets, to allow that opportunity to show up, because a level 10 is a combination of skill set and opportunity.